You think Jakarta and Singapore are completely different? That's what everyone thinks. One is massive, the other is tiny. One is chaotic, the other is controlled. Both cities are fighting for the same title. Which one actually gives you the better experience? Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which city wins for nightlife, food, tourism, transportation, cost of living, and real life. Let's start here. Jakarta, the massive capital of Indonesia. A city filled with skyscrapers, shopping malls, street food, business districts, and millions of people moving every single day. Now compare that to Singapore, a small city-state with a completely different approach to urban life. Modern skyscrapers, world-class infrastructure, clean streets, efficient transportation, and everything feels organized. But don't decide too quickly, because Jakarta has some advantages Singapore simply can't compete with. So here's the real question. Which city actually feels better? Let's talk about what most people secretly care about: nightlife. Because this is where things get interesting fast. In Jakarta, the city doesn't sleep. From South Jakarta to the major business districts, you'll find rooftop bars, clubs, live music, lounges, and restaurants open late. The atmosphere can feel spontaneous, social, and energetic. You can start with dinner, move to a rooftop, then end the night somewhere completely different. Now Singapore has nightlife too, and some of it is seriously impressive. Clark Quay, Marina Bay, Boat Quay, Robertson Quay. You've got bars, clubs, rooftop venues, live music, and late-night entertainment. But there's a difference. Singapore's nightlife can feel more polished, more controlled, and usually more expensive. Jakarta feels like you can just go out and see what happens. Singapore feels more like you know exactly what you're getting. So which one wins? Honestly, this one is close. If you want variety and a more spontaneous atmosphere, Jakarta. If you want polished nightlife in a highly organized city, try Singapore. But we're just getting started. Now here's something most travel videos won't admit. Neither Jakarta nor Singapore should be judged only by their skylines. Because tourism is about what you can actually experience. In Jakarta, you've got massive malls, historic neighborhoods, museums, markets, modern skyscrapers, and Indonesian culture everywhere. But there's a catch. Some of Indonesia's biggest attractions aren't even in Jakarta. Bali, Yogyakarta, Lombok, Komodo. Jakarta is often the gateway rather than the final destination. Now Singapore is completely different. It's small, very small compared with Jakarta, but that can actually be an advantage. You can move between major attractions relatively easily. Marina Bay, Gardens by the Bay, Sentosa, Chinatown, Little India, Kampong Glam, and massive shopping districts. The city packs a lot into a small space, and that's the key. Jakarta gives you scale, Singapore gives you convenience. So for tourism, Singapore takes this one. But don't worry, Jakarta isn't done yet, because now we talk about food. And this one is personal. Food isn't just food, it's identity. In Jakarta, the flavors hit differently. Nasi goreng, satay, soto, rendang, street food, local restaurants, small food stalls, and countless regional influences coming together in one enormous city. You don't need to spend a fortune to eat something memorable. And that's a huge advantage. Now Singapore has something special too, because Singapore is basically a food crossroads of Asia. Chinese, Malay, Indian, Peranakan, and other regional influences all come together. And then there's the hawker culture. You can sit down at a hawker center and have an incredible meal without going to a fancy restaurant. That's one of Singapore's biggest strengths. So here's the question. Do you want Indonesia's bold and deeply local flavors, or Singapore's incredible multicultural food scene? For me, this is extremely close. But if we're talking about variety across cultures, Singapore. If we're talking about deep Indonesian flavor, so call it a tie. Now let's talk about something that can either save your day or destroy it. Transport. Because both cities have completely different stories. In Jakarta, traffic is the enemy. Serious traffic. You can leave home thinking you'll arrive somewhere in 30 minutes, and suddenly, you're still stuck on the road. But Jakarta has been fighting back. The city has invested in public transportation, MRT, Transjakarta, commuter trains, LRT. The system is growing. Millions of passenger trips are now being made across the network. But here's the problem. The city is enormous, and the traffic hasn't disappeared. Now Singapore, this is where things get serious. MRT, buses, connections, clear signage, and a network designed around getting people around efficiently. You don't need a car to experience the city. And because Singapore is so compact, transportation becomes even easier. So if we're talking about everyday movement, Singapore wins. And honestly, this could be one of the biggest differences between the two cities. Before we continue, please subscribe and like this video if you haven't. Thanks. Now let's talk about money, because this is where Jakarta fights back hard. Singapore is expensive. Very expensive compared with Jakarta. Housing can cost significantly more. Restaurants can cost more. Entertainment can cost more. And everyday spending can add up quickly. Jakarta, you have much more room to control your budget. You can eat cheaply. You can find lower-cost housing outside premium areas. And everyday services are generally more affordable. This is where Jakarta has a very clear advantage. If you're a traveler on a budget, or someone thinking about long-term living, cost matters, and it matters every single day. Jakarta wins. But here's where things get interesting, because cheap doesn't automatically mean better. A city can be affordable and still be frustrating. And that's why we need to talk about everyday life. Singapore feels structured. You know where things are. Transportation works. Public spaces are maintained. Services are generally easy to access. And the city has built an environment designed around efficiency. Jakarta feels different. It's more unpredictable. Modern buildings can sit next to older neighborhoods. Luxury can exist next to much simpler areas. Traffic can change your entire day. But there's something about Jakarta that many people love. It feels alive. People gather. People eat together. People stay out late. And there is a strong sense of everyday social energy. Singapore feels controlled. Jakarta feels spontaneous. And again, neither is automatically better. It depends on you. Now let's talk about culture, because this is where Jakarta can make a serious comeback. Indonesia is incredibly diverse. And Jakarta brings people, foods, languages, and traditions from across the country together. The city feels like a meeting point for Indonesia. Singapore has diversity too, and that's actually one of its defining characteristics. Chinese, Malay, Indian, and many other communities have shaped the city. You can move from Chinatown to Little India to Kampong Glam and feel like you've entered a completely different cultural environment. That's impressive, but the experience is different. Where Jakarta feels like a giant Indonesian city, Singapore feels like a compact international crossroads. So for culture, I'm calling this one a tie. Now, let's zoom out, because visiting a city for 5 days is completely different from actually living there. Jakarta gives you space, more affordable options, more spontaneous experiences, and a huge city with endless neighborhoods to explore. But you have to accept the chaos. Traffic, longer journeys, uneven infrastructure, and the occasional frustration that comes with living in a megacity. Singapore gives you something else: convenience, efficiency, reliable transportation, modern infrastructure, and a city that is incredibly easy to navigate, but you pay for that convenience, literally. And that brings us to the final question. Which city actually wins? Let's break it down. If you want lower cost of living, clear Jakarta wins. If you want more efficient transportation, clear Singapore wins. If you want spontaneous nightlife, or Jakarta. If you want polished city nightlife, Singapore. For food, it's extremely close. For tourism, Singapore. For culture, Thai. For everyday convenience, Singapore. And overall, here's where things get interesting. Jakarta gives you more for your money. It's bigger, it's more chaotic, it's more spontaneous. And for some people, that's exactly what makes it exciting. Singapore gives you something different: efficiency, convenience, infrastructure, easy transportation, and a city that feels like it's constantly working. So, which city actually wins? If you're looking for affordability and energy, Jakarta might be your city. But if you're looking for convenience and everyday quality of life, Singapore takes it. And overall, Singapore wins. But not by destroying Jakarta. That's what makes this comparison interesting. Jakarta wins categories that genuinely matter: cost, spontaneity, local atmosphere, and value. Singapore wins categories that make everyday life easier: transport, infrastructure, convenience, and accessibility. So here's the twist. The best city is the one that fits you. Maybe you want Jakarta's energy. Maybe you want Singapore's efficiency. Maybe you want cheap Indonesian food and a city that never seems to stop moving. Or maybe you want a clean, organized, easy-to-navigate city where almost everything feels within reach. So tell me, or would you pick Jakarta or Singapore? And more importantly, why? If you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more Indonesia and Asia travel secrets.